Here we are for another Mind Focused Running Supergroup session, and really excited about this one, to have Grahak along, because he just transcends both areas that we cover, running and meditation, which is fabulous. And I just had a session with Mick actually half an hour ago, and we were talking, and it was when I first saw Grahak, and it's probably going, can't remember how long ago it was, but I reckon it's sort of 8 to 10 years ago. Grahak, you gave a presentation at the Marathon Club, an ultra running seminar, and you spoke about your experience at the Self-Transcendence race there. And I remember thinking then, whatever that guy's got, I want some of that. And it started my journey in terms of investigating meditation and ultra running. And yeah, it was definitely the first step. So Grahak is a West Australian, and has travelled to the Sri Chinmoy Self Transcendence race, which, for those who don't know, is close to 5,000 kilometres and is run over 52 days around a block in Queens, New York. So the runners have to average around 100 kilometres a day. And Grahak, I think you went there 5 times in all. Like, to do that once, I think, is amazing, but to go back 5 times is quite a feat.
Thanks.
Okay. We were just talking before, and the event is actually on while we're recording this, and is it Andre Marcato finished last night in 42 days?
Yeah.
The 3rd fastest ever time for the 5,000 Ks, pushing you to 5th overall, Grahak.
Yeah. Knocked me back a bit.
Yeah. After seeing you at the Marathon Club, I met Martin Fryer, and he really introduced me to meditation first off. But it all started to really come together when Grahak Cunningham came and spoke, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now, at Subiaco, and the Sri Chinmoy organisation offered a meditation course the following Saturday, which I attended, and that was my first serious start in meditation. And as I've said to these guys, I've pretty well meditated every day since.
That's great.
Yeah, and it was it was a wonderful thing. I started really just to you know, I wanted the benefits of meditation for my running, but I think you've probably seen it. People, you know, start meditating for all sorts of reasons, but the life benefits are far richer and more important than any running benefits that you know that I was seeking. And certainly, you know, with Mind Focused Running, you know, all of these guys come and join Mind Focused Running to learn meditation, and learn meditation to help their running. But with a number of the guys, we joke that you know, we start off as runners who meditate and end up as meditators who run.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's a really rich thing, I think, that we have. So to be able to have you come along and talk, and you know, we do a thing called core sessions first off, and in the very first introductory session, I talk about your experience, and I point to the movie and suggest that people go and watch that 3,100 Run and Become. So yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So first question, what came first, running or the meditation?
I think I meditated first because I started when I was pretty young. I guess Mum used to do a bit of it when I was a kid. She had a lot of tapes lying around, tapes back in those days, guided visualizations. And so I kind of started doing it pretty young, just every now and then. Not seriously. I never liked running when I was a kid. I much preferred sports, footy and surfing and so forth. And then when I guess when I got more serious with meditation and my spiritual side of life, that's when I started running. When I came across Sri Chinmoy, and that was when I was 19. So that's when I started doing fun runs and things like that. So pretty late introduction into running, really, I guess. Yeah, didn't like it that much at first. I think the first fun run I did was a soft sand run used to be Scarborough to Trig and back. It was torture. but I did it, and I was in my boardies and surf shirt, and then not even in running gear, and that kind of thought I could do another race, and just went from there, really. Yeah, so just progressed from short distances, and, as most people do, 5, 10Ks, and then first marathon was 99 in New York. Yeah.
And so there was a Sri Chinmoy community in Perth then?
Yeah, there was. Prabhuda, who's a good runner. I think he was a really good marathoner in his day. He came across and started the meditation group in Perth, in maybe 96, giving free classes. So I kind of went to a similar thing you did. That's how I got introduced into it. And I really like the connection between sport and being the best you can be and improving yourself, and the way you feel after exercise, and you just feel good about yourself. And I'd always liked that side of things. As I said before, my interest in sports, so it really connected me, combining the two. And Sri Chinmoy himself, of course, was very much into sports. He was firstly a sprinter when he was young, growing up in India, very good sprinter, super fast. And then when he came to America, he started running longer distances. And I think he could see when his meditation students were running and transcending themselves and meditating, they were making a lot of progress. So he really encouraged us to exercise regularly for different reasons and different benefits. And then I think he noticed that the further you went, the more you had to dive a bit deeper, if you like, and try and overcome negativities that we have. So your doubt, your mind, your body saying stop, things like that, which happens in pretty much any distance sometimes. but that's why I encouraged us all to do marathons, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, that was one of my questions. So we sort of talk about sort of going into this negative spiral in events where you're looking for reasons not to quit. And I was going to ask you how you manage those sorts of feelings in the self-transcendence race, or do you get yourself into some sort of a feeling or state where those sorts of thoughts don't arise?
Oh no, you definitely have some bad days, if you like. But most of the time in the race, you're really happy. So my first race is a good example. So I'd never done a multi-day before, and I remember like after 2 or 3 days of running, it was really difficult, like incredible pain, if you like. Knees swell up, your feet swell up, you can't sleep, you can't really eat because you're bouncing so much. But I was still really happy. So there was it was like you could, because you were trying your best and you were doing something you dreamed of and you trained for, and you were trying to transcend. I was really joyful despite the physical difficulties. But then, so most of the days you're really happy, but you do go through a lot of struggles in the race. And a nice thing about it is you do notice when you're dropping off the cliff, if you like, when your consciousness or your mood is descending, and that's when you start to calculate how far you've got to go or how many laps you've done. You start adding things up in your mind. You think things over too much, and you concentrate on your problems, and you inevitably slow down a bit when that happens. So it was easy in that situation. Life's very simple, so it was easy to catch yourself when you could feel yourself down that downward slope, and then you do things to get yourself out of it. Sometimes it take all day. Each day was different. Some days you were just like really uplifted the whole day. Other days it was a struggle in the mornings, and you'd come good in the evenings, or vice versa. Yeah, so you weren't always incredibly elated, I guess, but most of the time you're pretty happy. You laugh really easily when you're out there, when you're talking with other runners and things like that. But there's plenty of tears as well when you're having a bad day.
Yeah. No, we had just a fat ass event here back in June, called a Run for the Ages, and you basically ran the number of hours of your age.
Yeah.
And we just ran around Hillridge.
Huh.
And a number of us came away with just this feeling of elation that you describe, and just that it was so joyous, and looking back, it's absolutely probably the most joyous run I've ever done. So
Good.
Just one question before I hand it over to the others. When Dipali was here, I asked her, does she meditate while running? And she said she didn't. I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you purposely meditate while running?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do. So you look at the sky, like the sunrise, like your background is, or you try and have a childlike. There's a playground on the course as well. You try and have that childlike feeling in your heart, or you just try and see the good things, the flowers perhaps in the garden, and offer gratitude as well when you're running. There's all sorts of techniques you can do. I chant quite a lot, or have a mantric song going over in my mind. So I tried to meditate as much as I could. Generally, I found that easier, like in my regular life, in the mornings and the evenings. And in the day, I'd kind of put in my earplugs and listen to more dynamic music, I guess. But I tried to meditate as much as I could while I was going around.
We've been, like a number of us have had discussions about while running these longer races, that what we're finding is that the longer that we've meditated, that when we're coming to these events now, it's almost like we don't need to meditate while doing it. We're just more in a mindful state anyway. Do you experience that?
Yeah, so I think so. So if you meditate in the mornings, definitely that's the first thing I do. So if I've got a race on, I'll get up. So the marathon, for instance, on Sunday, I'll get up. We started at 6:30. I knew I'd probably have to leave home at 5:30, so I'll make sure I get up at 4:45 so I can meditate for 20 minutes. And then if you do that peace, that tranquility, that positivity you've got in the morning, it kind of flows through you when you're out there, and you can draw on it too when you're going through some difficult times. So that happens as well. If you meditate just before you're doing something, just naturally you carry it with you, and you don't have to, like you say, you don't have to consciously do it so much, because you've lifted yourself up in that morning situation. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yep. Okay, I'll open it up for questions. Who's got one?
So just do us some maths. If you've done it 5 times, that's 25,000 kilometers. It's 5,000 kilometers per race. How many laps is that? How many laps is it to the 3,100? It's an 800-meter course.
So I finished 4 times. It's 5,649 laps. Yeah, so 20,000 for a lot of laps. 20,000. What is that? You can do the math.
Because the thing is, like, you know, for Delirious, you know, we did a big race, 200 miles. You know, wow.
Yeah.
But the thing was, you know, but when you start, even when you start a race at 200 miles, you know, you can't start thinking about the finish until really you're well over halfway.
Yeah.
So when on this sort of race, when you've got, like, you know, virtually 50 days, do you say, like, I'm going to run after 25 days, I'm going to be halfway, and that's a big goal. You know, when I get halfway, it's a big tick. Yeah. And I've sort of gone out further, turned around and come back. Did you use the sort of mind games, or 3/4 of the way?
Yeah. So halfway is nice, and you try and celebrate little milestones as well, like 500, 1,000 miles, etc. You can't really, if you think about finishing, it's too overwhelming, and you've got too far ahead of yourself. I used to try and race. There's a clock there, like with an old school clock, and if I could get 8 laps an hour until 2 p.m., I knew I was going to have a good day. So I tried to try and do that, and then you generally can get to 70 miles if you've done that, and things keep going smoothly. You have to have little short-term goals, but then you can't get too far ahead of yourself or calculate, as I said before, too much. So that was probably as much as I did, was just try and do 8 laps in the hour.
Yeah, break it right down to the smallest, just on every hour, 8 laps. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and then I'd have a break at 2:30. Like, you have a break for 20 minutes. So that was the first goal you try and aim for, and then you'd have a little nap, and it was heaven having that nap. I slept better in that nap, I think, than I did when I had my proper break for the evening. And then my next break, each person does it their own way. I'd go to 7:30, and then have another kind of 10-minute break there. So that were things to aim for as well. You're just trying to keep out there and keep moving until you break.
And you had to run every single day. You couldn't have a day off?
No, you can't have a day off, and you've got to get there. You've got to be at the start at 6 a.m. That's one of the rules. And you can't have a day off. No.
It's like Birdie's backyard on steroids. You've got to be at the start at 6 o'clock, rather than 1 more laps, 1 more day.
Yeah. One of my favorite things this year of the race was there's a guy who documents every day. He does a great job. His name's Utpal, and he would interview the runners when they're going around. My favorite bit of the race, his footage, was when they were getting dropped off at 6 a.m. and making their way to their start line in their little aid station area. It was just it brought back so many memories of that. Just some are just so stiff and sore, and they have to start again. Others, like the winner and the guy second, it was like they were fresh as daisies. And yeah, you could see the power emanating from them as well each morning, even though they're tired and stiff and sore. You could see they were doing something tremendous, and they still are, of course, in the next week or so.
So are you going to go back again? Have you retired?
No, I don't think I've retired. Yeah. Every time I watch it, I get re-inspired. Yeah, I'd like to do it again. Yeah, but I've done, my 4 times is nothing. Some people, I think 13. There's one. Asfi Hanel's finished 13 times, the star of that movie. So that he's done he's done 65,000 kilometers around that block. 65,000 kilometers. Yeah.
It's like over a whole year of his life. Over a whole year of his life running around that block. 24, 18 hours a day. 18 hours a day for a year and a few months. Like,
yeah.
Oh no, amazing, great stories. I love watching the film. There's so many videos on them, but they're well worth watching.
Yeah,
just different class of people.
Yeah.
What is it that draws you back, Grahak?
I just so the first time I did it, I averaged 99.9 kilometers a day or something. So I thought that was torturously close to 100. And I had a really bad start for not a bad start, but 2 weeks it was very difficult. So I thought, oh geez, if I could a bit more experience, if I don't have that tough start, I could probably do a pretty good time. So that drew me back the second time. I swore I'd never do it again the first time, but then you start thinking about the good things and the progress you made. So I entered again, and the second time, third time was the same. Then I had a bit of a break. Yeah, it's always with you, the race, and you know the benefits you get from doing it. So that's what draws me back.
Right.
I tell you what, I'd love to see the Strava segment for that one. Who's got the leader?
Yeah. There's one guy who's doing his Ukrainian he's Garmin's lasting all day, he said. I spoke to him a few times, and he's on Strava. And, yeah, people are like, what the hell is this guy doing?
That would be a serious segment, wouldn't it? You've done this segment 25,000. You've done this segment 50,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah. You got he's got the fastest leg, I'm sure, for that course.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was just wondering about training. Can you talk a little about your training and your lead up to doing these really long events? Like, how much time in your legs did you have to prepare for something like this? What did that look like?
Yeah, so my first race I did the most training. I was a swimming teacher then, and I was teaching at Cottesloe. I was living in Woodlands. It's about 13k, so I'd run there, and then I'd run home. So you get 26k a day like that, and then I'd rest. You get home about 3 or 4, then I'd rest and just go out for another 10 or something, just to really build up my miles in the weekdays. Then on Saturday, I did it more on time than distance on the weekend. I'd go for like a 4 or 5 hour run to start with, and just eat while I was out there. Take your credit card, so you're practicing that, and then on the Sunday you do maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then you build up your Saturday runs. So you're going for I think I got up to 8 or 9 hours, and then build up your Sunday run a bit. So you're doing 3 or 4 hours on the Sunday. You basically don't feel like running, but you have to just keep. So I built up to like 200, and I think I peaked for a few weeks at like 230k or something like that. But really, you're just training for the first day, and then you gradually get stronger as you do the race. So the first race, it took me 2 weeks to really get stronger and be able to have some consistency with my distances. And then the next few times, I did less training. The next few times, you just have more miles in your legs, but similar things. and the second time I didn't have I was just consistent from the start, really. So you got more used to it. So it's like you're training for a 100K or a 24-hour race, probably very similar. And then a lot of training happens when you're in the race.
Did you have a sleep strategy to have a certain amount of sleep every day, or just as you felt?
So I had that 2:30 break, and then I'd try and get a nap for like 13 minutes. So the break was 20 minutes. So I'd go into the car and take off your socks and maybe wash down my legs to get a bit grimy, and then try and have a nap. And it was a very rejuvenating nap. I don't know if anyone does it in delirious, but sometimes I remember my friend told me she was in a 10-day race and she wanted to pull out. She was miserable. And the race director said, just go and have a nap. She went and had a nap, and something happened and she just felt refreshed. I don't recommend napping in your races, but the sleep side of things was important. But then in the evening, I really had trouble sleeping. So when you had that, the courses closed from midnight to 6 a.m. So when I have that break, I'd go home, shower, tend to yourself a bit, your blisters, and massage some oils in. But it was very difficult to sleep, have a good sleep. You have to sleep with your legs up on a box, and you cramp. I was dreaming about running. It was like you couldn't switch off, really. So it was very difficult to sleep. And you probably put your head on the pillow about 1:45, and then I'd get up at 5:27 after the brief rest we had. Yeah. But so the time off your feet was important. That little nap in the day was important. And yeah, you really look forward to getting home each night, obviously. But yeah, it was pretty restless sleep.
And Grahak, you mentioned obviously the feet, blisters, etc. You need to look after your feet, for that sort of distance.
Yeah. So I'm pretty good with blisters. I had one really bad year. I think it was my third race. I had a really bad blister and didn't look after it. But the main thing is you find that as soon as you notice a hot spot, you do something about it so it doesn't turn into a blister, which is kind of hard. You have to drag yourself off the course and chop something out of your shoe or tape something up, so you lose a bit of time. But it was time worth investing. And yeah, when you did have a blister, you had to manage it, so you keep popping it. And there's different. Some people would thread a little, like you get a needle and thread and keep the thread through it so it didn't heal and grow again. Yeah, there was different things people did. Some people got blisters quite really badly, but wasn't I've been pretty lucky in my races.
How do you get selected to run the Self-Transcendence race?
So there's I was fortunate. Usually there's they go on your 6 or 10-day race results. If you do, so in the 3100, you have to average about 60 miles, 100 Ks a day. So if you've done that in a 6 or 10-day race, and you I guess as well you fit in with the concept of self-transcendence and it gels with you, then they kind of start looking at you and thinking about letting you do it. I was lucky because I remember I was in I'd always loved the race and followed. There was the first Australian to do it was Ratin Bolton. He's a Canberra runner, and I followed him, and I saw him finish once or twice, and I kind of thought, oh, geez, I'd like to do that at some stage. I'd never really done an ultra then, and I remember I walked past Sri Chinmoy once on a trip somewhere, and he asked me if I'd done the race, the 3100-mile race. I thought he was talking about a 2-mile race we'd had in the morning, and I said, yeah, I came second. And then he asked me again if I'd done his longest race, and so I think he was encouraging me to do it. So then I applied, and he said, yeah, you can do it. So I was pretty lucky in that sense. Yeah, I was glad I hadn't done a 6 or 10 day race, because I think it would have put me off.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are most of the people who run the race Sri Chinmoy followers?
Most are, but not all. So I think it's 2. There's only 7 this year. The 2 out of the 7, there's a Japanese runner, and there's a Taiwanese runner. So not all of them. But I think if you come to it, you do have that. You've got that inner compulsion to try and achieve something momentous, and the Japanese runner, for instance, he's always translated his talks, but he said he's just been dreaming of coming to this race as soon as he heard about it, and he's moved out of his apartment, he quit his job, he's there with his wife. It's just, that's what he wanted to do, and he's given up a lot just to be there. So what for? You don't. It's not the prize money. It's costing him a fortune. So he's there to do his best and try and make that goal of finishing.
There's actually, I had a look on DUV today and searched Self-Transcendence, and I saw that all of the Sri Chinmoy 24-hour races are called Self-Transcendence events also. And there's like I know about the 48-hour in Canberra, and I knew of the New Zealand event, but I was amazed how many Sri Chinmoy events there are around the world. In terms of the organisation, what sort of motivates those events taking place?
I think it's so because it's there's the spiritual side of meditation is giving as well, or the selfless service. I'm sure all you guys have volunteered at something, and you get as much joy watching someone else finish sometimes as doing it yourself. And so Sri Chinmoy encouraged the marathon team to put on lots of public events, really, where people could do their best. So any race is such a nice atmosphere usually, because people are colourful, they're fit, they're trying to be a better them, and running gives you a vehicle to do that. So you set a goal. Maybe you've never run 3 kilometers before, or 5 kilometers, and you get there, and you as quickly as you can, or as far as you can, and it just it uplifts people, I think, when they do it. So yeah, we're encouraged to put on races and events and things like that. And some countries or cities, the marathon team's very active. So Canberra and Melbourne and Sydney are the main places in Australia. For many years, the 24 hours in Adelaide, I think they run it there. It's now Canberra, yeah.
And the term self-transcendence is that its meaning, like transcending, going beyond what you've done before, or is there a more spiritual meaning as well?
Yeah, it's both really. So in running, it's pretty easy when in terms of the time or the distance and things like that. But from a personal point of view, it's when you're trying to grow or illumine or move forward, to move forwards in your life. So I think it's a really important concept. So if you know that when you're doing anything, you lose concentration, or you get angry or something like that. So that's something, that's a negativity you notice. So how can we improve as individuals? You try and transcend it or hurdle it or conquer it. And I think the more people individually that transcend themselves or improve themselves, and obviously it helps the world at large become a better place. So it's got a deeper meaning, if you like, as well. Yeah.
Sure. Has anybody else got a question?
Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask Grahak, in terms of these races that Sri Chinmoy has come up with, was running a way of, I mean, aside from the transcending, bringing some sort of spiritual enlightenment, or I don't know what's the word. I mean, at the end of the race, you feel that your mental and sort of meditation improves, or is it the other way around?
I think it's a bit of both. So for, say, an ordinary runner who's not interested in the meditation, I think even without knowing it, they do it sometimes. You know, you've got the regularity in your breath, and you're in nature, you're in the outdoors, you're looking at the sky or something like that. So they're naturally meditating without even knowing they're meditating. So you finish your jog or your exercise, and you feel, I think everybody has it, you just have more clarity, you have a better day. And so there's that side of it, and then there's then there's, for people who are more conscious, I guess, of the spiritual side of it, you can definitely get a lot more out of your sport, whether it's running or tennis or whatever it is. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, yes, thanks, yeah.
Grahak, I was just going to ask, you know, sometimes when you meditate on good things, you might get the opposite come, like bad things come to you. In such a long race, is there any periods where you might have like a whole day where you're really negative, or do you have, as well as the joyous and the good times, are there then extended bad times as well, or?
Yeah,
or
you
not?
can get depressed out there. So the way to get out of that is you don't focus on the negativities. You always look forward, or focus on the brighter side, if you like. I think if you focus on your negativities, you can kind of, it pulls you back a bit. So, but it takes practice to do that, because it's easy to focus on negativities, on the problems of the world or problems of yourself. But definitely, you have days where you're in the depths of depression, and then you kind of have like an inner cry as well. There's something called the inner cry in meditation. Very good meditation technique, where it's like the idea behind it is your heart's tears cry for, you're crying for peace, you're yearning for joy or whatever it is. So sometimes you could use that when you're going through that, really like a prayer almost, just help, I need some energy or joy and that sort of thing. So that was a way you could use it to get out of that hole. And then just if you're chanting as well, that would help get me up. Or sometimes it would be another person as well, like someone bring you something like a special drink, and something as simple as encouragement would help you as well. So there's all little things that you try and you use to get you out of the doldrums.
Grahak, can I just ask a question? If you could compare yourself 1 year into your meditation journey and 20 years into your meditation journey, what are the differences you notice in yourself? I mean, and whether that improvement or strength helps with your transcendental racing, the 3,100 mile races. Could you have done it 1 year into your meditation journey?
That's a very good question. I think I did it when the time was right. I would have liked to have done it 1 year earlier than I did, but yeah, I think it just happened when the time was right for me. Yeah, I would have I needed more experience both running, just having more marathons in my legs, and then I think I was definitely better at meditation So I first did in 2000. So I'd been meditating seriously for 10 years at that stage. And the other thing was, because I'd visited the race as well, it was really good training, visiting the race. You're not in it, but you can see how it all works, which I did a few times. So I won't say I couldn't have done it after 1 year, but I was 19's probably pretty young and probably a bit too inexperienced running. But I think Sri Chinmoy saw the right time to ask me. And as an individual, yeah, I've noticed. You definitely notice you grow over time, but it's all part of that journey or continuum, if you like, as you progress.
What are the characteristics that you think you've developed over that 20-odd years of meditation? Could you distill it into a couple of?
Yeah, I think your heart enlarges. I don't know. Perhaps we're not the mind or the body. We've got something deeper inside our hearts, and the more you explore it or seek it or focus on it, then you can you can feel it more. You have a closer connection with that part of you that I think connects us all, but that part of you that inside your heart. So it's easier to get there, I guess, or bring yourself from that part of your body than the mind, which usually wanders and creates problems and things like that. So yeah, it's just so the more you focus on your inner life, your heart, your spiritual heart, then it's very rewarding, because you know it's there and you can feel it. So I think that's probably the main thing I've noticed.
So that everything else becomes inconsequential in terms of so in the middle of the race when you're suffering, it sort of is not as big an issue in the scheme of life. Is that the whole sort of? Well,
yeah, when you're going through these when you're going through difficulties in a race, then you can, I guess you can, you're trying to, the problems, the difficulties come from something that you can overcome, or right. There's going to be a brighter day, maybe tomorrow or but it's amazing what your mind does. So like on those days when I was going through struggles, so I had the pain and the depression, and you're not performing to your potential, you get to the end of the day and maybe you've probably only done 5Ks less than when you have a really brilliant day. So but the whole day you're just dwelling on how slow you are and how pathetic you are, but it's not that bad.
How much time would you spend meditating a day on average, Grahak?
Like in the race or not?
No,
normal?
just in normal life.
Yeah. So like I'd usually do half an hour, 40 minutes in the morning, and then maybe probably 25 minutes in the evening, unless quite often I've got a class on or something like that, and I count that as meditation. It's as much the quality as the quantity. So you can have a really nice meditation for 5 minutes if you keep your peace and your tranquility, and you've got your focus. And other days when you're sitting there for half an hour thinking about this, that, and everything else. So it's more the quality than the quantity in many cases. Yeah. There used to be, I don't know, the longest I probably sat in meditation is, I can sit for ages if I really try, is a couple of hours. But yeah, you just do whatever your capacity is, and it changes some days. The main thing is be punctual, be regular, and be disciplined. So you're doing it every day for the set time you can manage. And as you get better, you can, like you're running, you can increase the time or the distance, the time.
Yeah, brilliant. Did anybody else have a last question at all?
One last one. What about birdies in March?
Yeah, I should. Yeah,
Birdies or birdies?
the Herdies one. Yeah, it'll be a good race to do. Yeah, it's been. Oh, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I was going to ask
it's
this. I was going to ask the same question,
yeah,
actually.
it's almost yeah, it's kind of the pace I was doing in the 3100, so it would suit me well. But yeah, have to see. I'd have to. I've done a few 75k races the last couple of years, but I haven't done much more than that really. So I'd have to set myself a, some kind of goal, how long I stayed out, or yeah.
Well, it's
great.
March, so it'd be great to see you there. I'd love to see how far you could go. I really would.
Yeah.
I think you'd smash it.
Thanks.
See, they're running Big's backyard at the moment, and they're up to 72 or 73 hours, I think. So
where's that one?
Left.
In Tennessee.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was supposed to be the world championship of backyard ultras.
Okay.
But and it still is, but just half the field couldn't get there.
Yeah.
With COVID, but
yeah.
Harvey Lewis is in that pack. Very good runner. Another American who I don't know, and a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned there was a Japanese fellow running the Self Transcendence race as well, because I don't know.
They're great runners.
Oh, that they are, and I don't know whether it's the running or they've just got an amazing mind for it.
Demeanor, I think.
Yeah.
So with those backyard races, they just keep going. They just keep going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Until
someone could run 3,100 miles.
Yeah. So the world record's 81 laps.
You need two.
Yeah, you need
keep
two.
going till there's two left.
Yeah.
Or one left. So you need two to run 3,100
Oh
miles.
my God. Yeah. Did you do it last year?
Yeah, I did it last year, and I did 47. So I've just got to find one more lap in March. Unfortunately, to get to that one lap, I've got to run 47 hours. But I'm getting to that one lap. That's the goal next year. Well, one lap.
Yeah.
That one more lap I missed.
Yeah, right.
You can come with me. 48.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
You got till March. You would eat it. You'd eat this up. This has got you on there. It really has.
No.
The-
I'll definitely come in some form. Maybe what?
And also you as well, Michael Hood. I'm looking at you as well, Mike. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, no.
Okay. Well, that's our up. So it's been a fantastic session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Grahak. I know you're an inspiration for every one of us here in terms of what you've done, not just in terms of your running, but also in terms of your spirituality and your meditation. So thank you very much.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been really inspiring, and thanks for telling me your story. Hey, you took up meditation after Pali. I'll let her know. She'll be so happy.
Yeah. No, I attended the next Saturday session with Anuba, and she took it. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. That was great.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks for
guys.
having me. Nice speaking to everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Graham.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
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 Thanks.